Hi, I'm Penny Dell. We're here today to learn all about the National Association of Women Artists. And here we are in the year of the Women's Vote anniversary, 100 years. And 31 years earlier, this spunky women's art group was founded by 5 women. And they wanted to be able to draw, to exhibit their work, to paint, to be able to draw at academies and to share and be collegial with other women artists. And it's still here. You're going to hear all about it. Okay, so NAWA was founded in 1889. It's 131 years old. Some of the basic facts about it. Its date, the wonderful artist Teresa Bernstein, who got to be 112 against all the odds. 80 of those years were with NAWA as a valued member. You're going to see her beautiful painting. In 1920, there were 500 members. In 1930, over 1,000 members, and we actually had enough money to open our own galleries. In 1941, it became the National Association of Women Artists, changing from the Women's Art Club. And, fast forward through time, in our anniversary year of 1989, we had got a permanent collection of the wonderful members that we had, some of whom you will meet, at the Zimmerli Art Museum at Rutgers University. And we also established a Florida chapter. So in 2009, we had a 120th anniversary exhibit with a major show at the Zimmerli and the UBS galleries in New York City. Very recently, in 2013, we established a Massachusetts chapter. Last year, we got a Southeast chapter, and here also 2019, 130th anniversary year, we had a reenactment of the 5 women founders. Here we are, still going strong in Dutchess County and nationwide. And Carol Kunstadt is in this gallery, and we'll end up with her beautiful exhibit here. Here is the celebration catalog with a wonderful scholar, Ron Pisano, lined up to do the women's history of NAWA. So the entries include the bios of some of our august members and some of the people that associated themselves with us, including Mary Cassatt. And you're going to hear about some of them in the next slide. We also have a recourse for history, and that is our annual catalog. And in it, there is, like a record of our annual, the judges, the winners of the shows, who our luncheon speakers were. It's a wonderful, volume of resource. And I have quite a few just from the years. They've actually changed. This is what it used to look like. So you'll hear more about those catalogs and women from those catalogs. We've had 130 exhibitions so far, and our 131st will be online later this year. The legacy of achievement is not only was it a pioneering champion of women's equality in the arts, but many thousands of women members have been supported and encouraged. We have dispensed over $1 million in prizes. We have had thousands of curated shows at venues across the nation and abroad. We have a permanent museum collection, as you've heard. And now we're thriving online in virtual exhibitions and artist programs. So I want to talk to you about that amazing woman, Teresa Bernstein. She joined in 2016, and she was in NAWA for 80 years until her death in her 112th year in 2002. There's a book and with full of essays about her. And it's called A Century, in the Arts. Was widely exhibited and uninscribed in revisionist history, sort of like Hilma of Klint. Nobody heard about her for a while. But she's celebrated a major traveling show and a book, Teresa Bernstein, A Century in Art. And she was the teacher and mentor to NAWA member Louise Nolan, who also achieved fame, and you'll see some of her work. So here she is with her wonderful work called The Suffrage Parade, which she painted in 1915. But there are earlier works about suffrage in 1912. Her ambition and the scope of her beautiful oil paintings is, as you'll see, very, heroic. Here is the flags of the Allies, and painted in 1918, a very big work. But it wasn't only these parades that she documented. Here she is with a NAWA Award in 1924 for the best painting, Sunset Hour. So way back in 1924, she was already winning awards with NAWA that we have documented. Here is her Metropolitan Opera House from 1939. And here's biographer and honorary VP of NAWA, Professor Gail Levin, visiting Teresa Bernstein in about 1983. So Gail Levin has recently come out with yet another book about a woman luminary. She did a book on Judy Chicago. She's done a book on Lee Krasner that's just, been reissued as a paperback. And she is a wonderful presence and encourager and supporter of NAWA. Here is the book, and it was edited by Gail Levin, who is a professor at the graduate school at CUNY. And this is Teresa Bernstein's documentation of the public library. So as you heard, Teresa Bernstein was like a teacher as well, and her star pupil was Louise Nolan. She joined NAWA in 1952. In 1962, she represented the US in the Venice Biennale. She had a Whitney Museum retrospective. She's in numerous collections, and you probably will see her public art pieces all over. Here she is, the young Louise, and at the time that she was studying with Teresa. Next. And some of her monumental, painted wood sculptures that grace a lot of, city squares and buildings. She gathered wood and she cobbled it all together into big, amazing pieces that she painted one color. So there are white pieces as well as black pieces, and they're so ably put together that you really feel dwarfed as a human in front of them. And at the time, they were pretty revolutionary. Nobody was doing anything like that. She has imitators. Well, let's say that she inspired others to do as she did. Next. So another wonderful, inspiration is Dorothy Dyer. So she was born in 1901 and died in 94. She joined NAWA in 1960 and remained committed to NAWA. And part of it, she lived in the same building in Union Square West, where NAWA had its office spaces. So she, really was at home with NAWA. She became an honorary VP in 1984. She has prints and sculpture featured in the NAWA 1989 Centennial and the 120th Anniversary UBS Gallery. She's widely exhibited and in numerous museum collections. So follow her, Google her and find out all about her. I find her very inspiring as a printmaker. Here's an example of her bronze sculpture. And here is some of her printmaking, and which has got to be very totemic. Here's an engraving from 1958. Again, you see a minimalist direction. Another person focusing on realism was Alice Neal. So she was born in 1900. She was renowned as a painter and portraitist, had an amazing Whitney Museum retrospective, honored by Women's Caucus for Art. She became involved with NAWA as a judge and served as a NAWA show juror many times. And her family later established an award for painting in her name. So you will see, some of her work and some of the prizes that were selected in honor of her. This is a portrait of her daughter-in-law, Nancy. And this is a portrait of critic Meyer Shapiro from 1983, an oil on canvas. And here is one of the awards given at NAWA that honored her legacy. Somebody who painted, in a style that she would recognize and approve. And her family always came to the annuals to give this award. Here's another inspiration, still alive, and it really still ticking and creating amazing paths in her 80s. She's an artist, an author, an activist, a champion of civil liberties, a pioneer quilt storyteller, and a children's author. My kids all love Tar Beach. She uses her art to support Anyone Can Fly Foundation and help to reward scholarship and educators and children's, like art even. And the College Art Association Lifetime Achievement Award came to her in 2017. She joined NAWA in 1968, and she is very much present at NAWA in all sorts of events and very encouraging. Here's one of her children's room books, Harlem Renaissance Party. They're all lighthearted and kids love them. Here is Faith Ringgold and Ursula von Reidingsvard, honored at NAWA's 125th annual exhibition. And it was, she's a good, party, friend. She always raises the level of jollity as well. Here is Faith Ringgold side by side with Picasso in the new MoMA, rehang. So, it's been greeted by feminists all over. So, very feisty, and it's a work from the 60s that still speaks to people even more these days. And on a Back to Earth, Lyanna Mooney was an amazing leader of NAWA. She lived from 1922 to 2016. She joined NAWA in 1978 and was deeply dedicated and served 2 terms as a president. She was the visionary that had the idea of arranging for a permanent collection at the Zimmerli and did all the diplomatic work to make it happen. She led the creation of Florida and Massachusetts chapters. The Massachusetts chapter, she was in her 90s and she still was working for NAWA. She spearheaded the Centennial Show, and she lined up the scholar to write the bios and put the whole catalog together. And she continued to make beautiful art to the end. So you're going to see her work in the next slide. So here's her memorial show and gathering 2 years ago. This is a memorial at the Silver Mine Art Center in 2017. And you could see an example of the beautiful colors and abstractions that were made her an award-winning artist as well. And, here's an image of her smiley self, still founding Massachusetts chapters, in 2014. So, the people on the board really work hard to make an advance, like NAWA. And Dutchess County resident, Maddie Siegel Marks, actually led NAWA for 3 years, which is extraordinary, above and beyond. But she was also instrumental in putting together a Millennium Collection in 2000, which won all sorts of prizes. It included many artists with 5x7 art entries. And, not only did it travel to the Feminist Expo and get first prize, but it also subsequently went to the UN to celebrate women. So NAWA's legacy and enduring record is the catalogs of the exhibition, which, abound, and which I have resourced heavily during this presentation, go all over to the Guggenheim, to the Metropolitan, to the Library of Congress, to the Women's Museum in Washington. And so, the people that exhibit and the people that work for NAWA will be documented, as long as those institutions stand. And I have found them very useful in reconstructing some of the history of NAWA. My own 27 years in NAWA, I joined in 1993. I exhibited regularly. I got awards. My favorite award was awarded by Janet Fish because I really admire her work. And I was so proud that she picked one of my prints, Artist at Work, as a prize winner. And I've curated traveling shows to museums and colleges. I served as president 2005 to 2007, and I really love NAWA, so I continue as a board member. Here is a letter that I think, sort of encapsulates, my feelings about it. It's all about the people. It's all of us cumulatively working hard, that put the shows on the road, that put the shows on the wall, that make amazing luncheons with wonderful speakers, that create significant admission ceremonies for new members at the Rubin Museum every November, except probably this one, which we'll have to do virtually by exhibiting the new members online. And you could see in this letter my admiration also for the idea of having, those 5 people. We can't get into the, the men's societies. Let's do our own and create a parallel course. And in this year, in 2005, the people that had been struggling to get a Booker Prize finally got it. And part of it was because they had a parallel, licensing, let's say, path to the prizes that led to the Booker. So, a big admiration for these 5 people and for all the people that have labored in NAWA. So, I guess one of the things that I saw is that recontextualizing women, like a work, like Monet's, that was politically incorrect in every way, is here annotated in this slide. So this is one of my artworks, which has text as well. This is All Buttoned Up, Fighting Censorship. I tried to show this at Nabisco headquarters, and basically they did not want frontal nudity. So I sewed buttons on it. This is an oil painting and it's framed in silk. And hey, got it in. And here is the picture of Medusa, who is one of the strong women, that, like the feminine power women. So I also work with ceramics, and here's an example, of a strong woman. Advocacy, we're still, fighting. So this is fighting for the environment, fighting for women's rights, fighting for art, fighting for health. This was on the walkway over the Hudson and asserting women's rights when Trump was inaugurated. So NAWA is still advocating, for women's rights. Here is Nancy Lent, a recent NAWA board member and a founder of Women's Work Art Gallery, where I speak today, and with Faith Ringgold at a NAWA opening. So it all comes together, this empowerment of women. And here is Nancy Lent's work, Mirrors in the Bark of Trees. She has a wonderful imagery in her artworks. For a while they were protesting brutalities in other countries, but now she needs her very own Zoom to tell you all about her work. Madeline Siegel Marks, who, as you heard, served as president, is also a Dutchess County resident, and this is one of her awards at NAWA. And the next slide shows you her at work at Barrett. Next, here she is demonstrating sculpting from life at the Barrett Art Center, where she taught for a long time and it was an exhibitor in the Body Beautiful in 2018 and 2017. Here in this very gallery on exhibition now is the work of Carol Kunstadt, who you see won a prize in 2012 and is here exhibiting these slides. And she's talking about women's labor and some slave labor as well. And you'll have to come to Women's Work Art to see this installation. So NAWA Today, over 800 artist members, and we're selected by members. There's a permanent staff, an active board, countless volunteers. We got a new gallery space at West 39th Street, active chapters still in Florida, Massachusetts, and Southeast. There's monthly gallery solo and group shows, and income and prizes from endowments, memberships, donations, and grants, special events and programs, honors and awards to luminaries and supporters. And we welcome new members for the future. So come and join us. Check us out at thenawa.org, where you can find our next annual for our 131st year. And think about the Spunky 5. Thank you so much, Women's Work Art.